예, 감사합니다. 예, 다음으로는요, 블록체인 산업 핵심 인물 중 한 분으로 꼽히는 분이죠. 네오의 창립자 다홍페이님의 강연이 있겠는데요. 주제는 블록체인과 스마트 이코노미를 주제로 하였습니다. 올라와 주시기 바랍니다.
Hello everyone. I'm so delighted to be here. And when I walk into this room, I was shocked. I really doubt is China the most populated country in the world. Looks like at least in the crypto world, Korea is more populated than China. I have to introduce myself first. My name is Hongfei, and I'm the founder of an open source project called Neo. So any of you heard of Neo? A few, yeah, okay. I think that's my job to explain what is new to you. And I'm also a CEO and founder of a company called On-Chain, and we have a new project called Ontology. So today I will introduce you Neo, talk about the history, what Neo is today, and then I will briefly talk about Ontology, and then I will comment on those regulations from China. Neo is one of the oldest blockchain project in China. We started in 2014. Before 2014, I was working with a friend called Eric Gu. He just gave his speech just now. We started a group called Bit Angels Club, and we held a lot of meetups in China, in Shanghai. And then we come up with some idea, why don't we build a blockchain and that works for crowdfunding? We was inspired by a post on bitcoindiscuss.org, bitcointalk.org. It's a forum. There's one guy from China. He posted that he want to build the world's first ASIC miner. And then he got millions of Chinese yuan. I think that's about equivalent to maybe $1 million. And a few months later, he succeeded. He did build world's first ASIC miner. And all the investors support him with Bitcoin, got a very good return. So we are inspired by that story. We want to build a blockchain for crowdfunding. That is basically ICO today. At that time, in 2014, there is nothing called ICO. We don't even talk about blockchain. All we talk about is Bitcoin. And then a few months later, we got our seed round funding. It's only $90,000, very small amount of money. And 2/3 of those money come out from the funders and the team's own pocket. As a return, all the seed funders got 10% of the tokens. At that time, the investment is only $90,000. But today, with 10% of new tokens, you can buy a commercial jet with that token. I checked Neo's price of today. It's about $130. Do you guys know what's Neo's price a year ago, the same day? I just checked. It's only 11 cents. So it's 1,000 times growth in price. But the growth is not only limited to price. The community, the supporters, the development of Neo has grown a lot in the last year. Before we launched Neo's testnet and mainnet, we did 2 ICOs. It's quite different from today's ICO projects. We did the first ICO in 2015 and the second one in 2016. Respectively, we got $700 and $3.8 million. It's quite big in 2015 and 2016. But comparing to today's ICO, the size of today's ICO, it's really, really small. And every time we do an ICO, we are about to hit a milestone. So 2 months after ICO 1, we launched the testnet, and 1 month after ICO 2, we launched the mainnet. And then time flies. We spend a lot of time do the hard work behind the scene. In 2017, we decided to do a rebranding of our old name from N-Shares to NEO. And the rebranding is quite successful. We caught attention from a lot of Western crypto communities. They realized that there is a well-kept secret called NEO. And the white paper is very original. The architecture is really different from other blockchains, including Ethereum. And the technology, the source code, has been put onto GitHub for 2 years. So they are kind of crazy. They converted their Bitcoin, their Ethereum, their other tokens into NEO. And we saw a skyrocket of NEO token price. And then 2 months ago, we decided to do a give up, a full amount give up. So all the contributors in seed round funding and ICO 1, ICO 2 will get all their contributions back in the value of fiat money at the time when they contributed to the project. That's the history. Now we come to today. Actually, it's not today. It's technically yesterday. Yesterday, I was in a meetup at Hongfei University. I took the screenshot before I went to the stage. And NEO, by market cap-wise, is ranked 8th in the world after Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple, and other tokens. And we have a very, you can see, everything is red. And yesterday is quite weird. We're the only green one. But I guess if you open it today, everything is red. I bet you know the reason. I'll talk about the reason later. OK, I'll stop talking about price, because the speaker after me is from Binance, the biggest crypto exchange in the world. So he should be the expert to talk about price. I'll talk about community. I always say that the key point you need to look at a blockchain project is its community, especially its technical community. On Reddit, the forum, we have over 40,000 subscribers. That's only after Bitcoin and Ethereum. And we have hundreds of thousands of Twitter followers. On Twitter, on Facebook, and on GitHub, we have a lot of followers, a lot of folks and stars. So that's the community. And the community contributed a lot of hard work to us. There are many wallets. There's only one wallet developed by us, but there are several, maybe 5 to 10 wallets developed by the community. And there are different blockchain explorers. There are more than 10 languages translation now. It used to be 7. And there are developers kit of Python and JavaScript. And there are YouTube videos produced by Box Mining and other YouTubers. And there are news portals, there are tools. And more importantly, there are many events, like smart contract coding contest, like different meetups. I just said I was in a meetup at Yonsei University yesterday. And this month, there are 5 meetups in Europe, including Amsterdam, including London, Ireland. And at the end of January, all the new team are flying to San Francisco. We're going to have our first developers conference in San Francisco, and it's a very big event. I think it's probably about the same size as this one. And besides of all those community contributions, they build apps, they create things. There are some decentralized applications as they already finished ICO, and some are about to do fundraising, and some are still in the process of writing a white paper. Okay, I've talked a lot about the history, about the current status of NEO, but what is NEO? Why we choose to build a different blockchain? So if you look closely at the logo, you will see NEO, and there is a fine print under NEO. It says smart economy. And what is smart economy? I tend to agree with Eric Gu about digital assets. I believe in the future, maybe in 5 to 10 years, all assets will be digital assets. There will, even those physical assets, they will have representative in a digital form. And then we can use smart contract to manage all those digital assets. So we can imagine if you have an apartment in Seoul, it's very expensive, but if you want to borrow a loan from bank, you need maybe at least a few weeks and go through a lot of paperwork today. But in the future, if title of a department is recorded in a digital form and you can program it, then you can borrow from someone very instantly. Like it only takes a few seconds, and probably not from bank, but from some stranger across the world you never met with, and you don't need to trust him. So in the future, we believe the economy will be smart economy. But there is one catch. If today the blockchain, the market cap, the size of blockchain is already pretty big, if we want to grow 10 times, 100 times, even 1,000 times more, I believe we have to connect with real economy or traditional economy. So we need something more than smart contract, more than digital assets. But what is that? I believe it is digital identity. We need digital identity to map the physical asset to the blockchain asset. We need digital identity to map, to bring the relationship between people and people, or people and organization, bring it on-chain. So at NEO, the 3 pillars, the building blocks, the fundamental blocks are digital assets, smart contract, and digital identity. The best way to explain something, I believe, is to compare it with something you may already familiar. So here is a comparison between NEO and Ethereum. NEO is sometimes been dubbed as the Chinese Ethereum. At first, I think it's okay. Ethereum is really famous. But gradually, I think I'm thinking about why we are doing NEO. If there's already a project called Ethereum, they're about digital assets, they're about a smart contract. So my answer to the question is, fundamentally, we have different design philosophy. Let me show you the homepage of 2 websites. Ethereum, he says Ethereum is a blockchain app platform. So I think the mission of Ethereum, I believe, at first at least, is to prove that a smart contract is feasible. It's a powerful tool. And I think they did a perfect job. But NEO, our mission is to be an open network for smart economy. So we are more down to earth. We would like to link the real economy with technology. And our philosophy is not to be censorship resistant. Ethereum, Bitcoin, they want to be censorship resistant, but with NEO, we want to be compliant, or at least compliance ready. Let me get back to the previous page. That's the difference in design philosophy. And then it comes down to 2 main aspects, the technical difference and the economic difference. NEO has different consensus mechanism, has different smart contract system, and then it boils down to a very good scalability. And economically, we have different token system, and we have different governance mode. I want to talk a little about technology. Is there anyone know what's the name of consensus mechanism of NEO? Anybody? Okay, it's called DBFT, or Delegated BFT. BFT stands for Byzantine Fault Tolerant. The beauty of DBFT is it is not forkable. So there will not be any network split with DBFT. And DBFT had perfect finality and scalability. It can consist of hundreds of thousands of nodes, and all those nodes will reach consensus in seconds. And today, Ethereum is still doing mining, proof of work, and they will switch to proof of stake. But I think it's difficult for the miners to do such a kind of change. So that's the difference of consensus mechanism. And then we have different smart contract system. The smart contract, if you want to do smart contract program on top of Ethereum, you have to learn a new language. It's called Solidity, or other languages like Serpent or other names. But if you are a developer, you can be very easily do smart contract programming on top of NEO. You can use C#, you can use Java, JavaScript, Python, even other languages in the future to do smart contract on top of NEO with those IDE, integrated development tools that you're familiar with, like Visual Studio or Eclipse. So it's more compatible, more easier, more lower barrier for programmers to learn smart contract with NEO. And then the performance, the scalability of NEO is much, much better than other projects. Usually, Bitcoin can process 3 to 5 transactions per second, and maybe Ethereum, maybe a few dozens. But with NEO, we can process 1,000 transactions per second, and we are aiming a very high TPS in the future. The aim will be announced at the DevCon. That's the technical part. I believe in the next 2 to 3 years, there will be a lot of competition between different blockchains, especially public blockchains. And the competition is not just about techniques. Sometimes it's about the governance, how the community, how the team behind the project governs the project, how the project grew, how they evolve. At NEO, the design is very different at the beginning. There are two native tokens within NEO. One is called NEO, we call it the governance token. When you are a NEO holder, you are the stakeholder of the blockchain. You have the voting power to decide a lot of things, like who will be the delegates, how much transaction fees should we collect, things like that, and how many delegates we really needed. It's a choice between decentralization and efficiency. So if you are holding NEO, you are the stakeholder of the blockchain. And then there is a token called gas, or NEO gas. It's a utility token. Basically, you use gas to pay everything on NEO blockchain, like transaction fees, like the fees to deploy a smart contract, like to register a good name, you will need to pay gas. And every NEO token holders, there is one gas token linked with one NEO token, but it will be released or unlocked in 22 years. So if you are holding a NEO token, you will gradually see there are some small amount of gas token unlocked every block. So why we choose to do two token, the dual token system? The reason is this. For example, if I'm a stockholder of Apple, I own Apple stocks. If I want to buy a new iPhone 10, if there's only one token, within the one token system, I have to use my stock to buy an iPhone 10. And then my percentage of the stocks, of the shares of Apple company just dropped. But with dual token system, your percentage, your stake is always the same. That's the dual token system. And also the economic model about fees are different. Today, when you do a transaction in NEO, it's free, it's completely free. But it is very expensive to deploy a smart contract. Unlike other blockchains, including Ethereum, including Bitcoin, their transaction fees are quite expensive. 2 weeks ago, I sent some Bitcoin to a friend, and the transaction fee is about $20 to $30. It's on par with Swift. It says that Bitcoin will replace Swift, but today the transaction fee is just as expensive as Swift. So we use a different transaction fee model. The business pays for the transaction fees, and the users use the blockchain for free. It's more like the internet premium business, freemium business model. That's the economics. And then we come down to governance. With DBFT consensus, all the validators, all the nodes, or the people behind the nodes that are in the consensus process are identifiable. You will know who they are. So it is more compliant ready. And then we have a virtual organization called NEO Council. We made a very bold decision 3 years ago. We decided to reserve 50% of all the tokens by NEO Council. It is a very bold decision. At that time, even if you kept 1% token to yourself, you will be called pre-mined. Your coin is pre-mined, and it's absolutely a taboo in the crypto world 3 years ago. But we decided to keep 50%. Why? Because we believe we need these tokens, these resources to foster the ecosystem, to help those dApps to grow, to invest in other projects, other protocols that will benefit to NEO itself. So among those 50 million tokens, 10% will be used to incentivize our team, 10% will used to incentivize those community developers, and 50% will be used to do investment or token swap, and another 15% will be flexible. So we believe this governance model is more efficient, and you can say it's more centralized. But in the next few years, we will spend those tokens, we will distribute those tokens, and after we spend those tokens or distribute those tokens to community, we will have less say, less power over the NEO blockchain. And I think the governance model is more like Asian countries or Eastern Asian countries. It's more authoritative in the beginning, but eventually it will be democratic. Okay, I've talked about NEO, and then I will briefly introduce the company on-chain. When the team is building NEO, a lot of Chinese enterprise, including banks, including local governments, approached us. So they said, can you build a blockchain for us? And at first, we just did it. And then gradually, we realized it should be a standalone business. It's an independent business. So me and other 4 partners, co-founders, decided to set up a company called On-Chain. And the product of On-Chain is called DNA, or Distributed Network Architecture. It's a template of consortium and private blockchains. You can use DNA to build your own private or consortium blockchain. And there are many use cases, including identity chain for Guiyang government. It's a local government in China, including a proof of concept. We worked for China Clearing, the counterparty of DTCC in the United States. And we also built a digital asset platform for Everbright Security, an investment bank in China. And we have a business called Legal Chain, or 法链. It's use blockchain to do data attestation. By the end of last year, we decided to do something new. The new project is called Ontology. Why we already have Neo. Although Neo is not owned by OnChain, the company, or controlled by the company, but we still found out there's something missing in the puzzle. There are a lot of companies doing the low-level blockchains, and some companies are doing applications, but we think we still lack two key services, blockchain services. One is fiat on blockchain. We need fiat on blockchain to do real, trustless, atomic transactions. If we still rely on banks to do money transfer, blockchain is meaningless because you have to, when I send some digital assets to another party, then we have to go through banks. It's back to the point we started. So we really need a fiat on blockchain. And all the central banks around the world, many of the central banks are exploring how to do a fiat on blockchain. There's the other thing we're missing is digital identity. So we decided to do a project about digital identity. This is a pitch deck back to 2016. So we imagined there will be a world of different blockchains and some basic service blockchains, including digital fiat and identity. But what is ontology? Ontology is the open infrastructure for digital trust. So it's more than identity. You can basically, people and business can do three things on top of ontology. The first is identification. You can control and you can create and control an ID on ontology. And then the second thing you can do is attestation. You can attach data to other IDs. If you are a university, you can attach those qualification data to an ID. If you are an employer, you can attach those work experience to your employees. Maybe if you are a blogger, you are a YouTuber, you can attach your some data to other people. And then the third thing is the most interesting part. It's authorization. When you have ID and you control the ID, you can authorize other people to use those data attached to your own ID. And you can authorize who can use it, for what purpose, and how much I should be paid for sharing those data. For example, you can sharing all those, your spending history with the bank, and they can give you loan or maybe issue you a credit card. So with these three things, all the data behind you will become data asset. It's tradable and it's valuable. And Neo and Ontology will work together. Ontology is an independent infrastructure, independent blockchain, but you will use the same smart contract system, so you will share the same ecosystem. And applications on Ontology can issue their tokens with Neo, and they can use Neo as a payment rail, and those tokens can be traded in decentralized exchanges in Neo. Okay, my last slide is about regulation in China. So what is legal? What is illegal? Back to September, China just banned two things. First is ICO. We need to define ICO first. ICO is raising money with token to general public. So the keyword is general public. It is still legal to do private fundraising to accredited investors in China. It is always legal, but raising money to general public is illegal. It is banned. And the second policy is the Chinese government or regulator just cracked down all the cryptocurrency exchanges. So doing centralized cryptocurrency exchange business in China is illegal now. The reason behind it is because I think there are two reasons. One is the regulator just does not really like speculation. In the history of China, or recently, there have been a lot of speculations, and the ending is not quite ugly. So the government is not very like speculation or anything that could be a warm bed for speculation. And the second reason is if the government licenses cryptocurrency, a crypto exchange in China like the Japanese government did, it will be conflicting with current capital control policies. In China, the capital is still controlled. You cannot move money in and out completely freely. So if a cryptocurrency exchange is licensed, you can buy Bitcoin easily, then you have a way to evade, to escape from those capital controls. So it's conflicting with current policies. That's the reason why the Chinese government banned cryptocurrency exchange. And the tricky thing is about mining. Recently, there are a lot of rumors that the government is cracking down on the mining facilities or mining pools in China. It's never confirmed. My understanding is this: there are many mining factories. They claim to build a cloud computing center or data center with local governments, and they got subsidized by those governments. But gradually, those governments find out that they're not really doing cloud computing or big data center. They're merely mining bitcoins, and Bitcoin speculation is discouraged by the government. So they stopped those subsidy and asked them to move out of their place. So many of the mining pools, mining factories are moving out, even out of China. But blockchain technology or blockchain development is still encouraged by the government. So Chinese government is very flexible and welcome innovation. So doing blockchain development and research on blockchain technology is completely legal in China. Okay, that's my speech, and I would like to end my speech with a line from the futurist called Will Gibson. He says that the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. And I hope with those distributed blockchain technology, we will see the future very soon. Thank you.